Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Good morning.
Good morning.
That's pretty good. Welcome to the worship service of the First Unitarian Church of Hobart, where we strive to put love at the center of how we show up in the world. So each week, during our Sunday morning worship services, we join together in reciting together the words of our affirmation of faith, up here on the screen and in your order of service. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament. Service is its prayer. And this is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Since not everyone can attend in person, we are streaming this worship service online, and we extend a special welcome to all who are joining us virtually. The Joys and Sorrows portion of our service, however, is private, and we will temporarily pause the stream for that. Other than that, this worship service is being recorded and will be available for future viewing on our website. Today, our worship service will be led by our guest, Reverend Barbara Child. Please turn off or silence your devices, and as you do so, allow yourself to enter sacred time together. And take a breath. And another. And join in the spirit of reverence. We are called this Sunday, as every Sunday, to find ourselves in the midst of whatever we discover around us. Whatever we find when we get here, we come as we are. I invite you to be present to the words of Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Dwayne Fickerson. Come as you are. Bring your doubt and fear, your skepticism and your anxiety. Do not leave them at the door, but bring them into this place where you will be met with acceptance. Come as you are. Bring your joy and delight, your celebrations and your wonder. Do not leave them at the door, but bring them into this place where you will be met with love. Let us hear Dwayne Fickerson's words not only as an invitation to come as we are, but also as a charge to meet others here with compassion, acceptance, and love. This morning, may we accept both the invitation and the charge. The flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. It suggests the transformations that take place when we are held within religious community. When we light the chalice in worship, We illuminate a world that we feel called upon to serve with love and a sense of justice. Please join us in lighting our chalice by reading together the words on the screen and in your order of service. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. Number 2.
Unitarian Universalism is a covenantal faith. We do not have a creed. Instead, we commit to walk together in the spirit of mutual love, abiding by the promises to which this congregation has democratically agreed in creating and revising our congregational covenant. So each week, we reaffirm together a portion of that congregational covenant. Today, it's May 25th. For all the ways that we have neglected to consider our thoughts before speaking, communicate in a clear and positive manner, and to pause before acting, may we give ourselves and each other and begin again in love. For all the ways that we have neglected to speak directly to those concerned with an issue, offer and receive appropriate criticism and praise, and provide timely, specific, and clear feedback. May we forgive ourselves and each other and begin again in love. And for all the ways that we have not been appropriately supportive of others without taking sides, may we forgive ourselves and each other and begin again in love. Now is the time that we take in the service to greet these beautiful souls, these shining faces that we are sharing the air with. Turn around, wave, smile, give a shout to your neighbor. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I was in Washington, D.C. last Sunday, and I decided to go visit All Souls. It was a longer than usual service, but I understand that their Greet Your Neighbor section, it felt like 10 minutes. It was so long. It was cool. There was a lot of people there, but it was a really long Greet Your Neighbor. So I just had to say that. Now please rise in body or spirit to join me in singing hymn number 389 in your gray hymnal, Gathered Here.
Struggle and the power.
Thank you. You may be seated. Is this the one I'm using or that one? Not that one either. Okay. Oh, it's on. Sorry, I thought you were pointing. All right. Whenever we gather with others, we have the opportunity to share our own private joys and our private sorrows with one another, to hold them together so that the lightness of our joys lifts up all, and so that the heaviness of our sorrows feels easier to bear. Anyone who would like to share their joys and sorrows may do so. I just ask when I come to you that you do share your names. We know who you are. a day in which we set aside some time in our busy lives to honor and to mourn all United States military personnel who died while serving in the armed forces of the United States. Now please rise in body or spirit as we sing the doxology. You may be seated.
Our story this morning is The Creature of Habit by Jennifer E. Smith. On the island of Habit, there lived a creature. He had very big teeth and very big eyes and very, very big feet. Every day, the creature did the exact same things in the exact same order. First, he ate 3 pineapples and 2 bananas. Then he walked down to the water to say hello to the fish. Hello, fish. After that, he went looking for shells, but he kept only the very best ones. Next, he said hello to the trees. Hello, trees. And the rocks. Hello, rocks. And the crab who lived under the rocks. Hello, crab. When it was time for dinner, he ate 3 more pineapples and 2 more bananas. Then he brushed his teeth and went to bed. Every day was exactly the same, which was just how the creature liked it. Then one morning, he spotted a boat. It was a very small boat, and it was carrying a very small creature. He had very small teeth and very small eyes and very, very small feet. Nobody had ever visited the island before, and the very big creature couldn't wait to show his new friend how everything worked. He taught him how to collect pineapples and bananas and how to say hello to the fish. Hello, fish. Hello, fish. He showed him how to find all the very best shells and when to eat his dinner and brush his teeth and go to bed. The next morning, the very big creature woke up excited to do it all over again, just as he did every day. But the very small creature was nowhere to be found. When he finally appeared, he was excited to start the day too. Only instead of eating 3 pineapples and 2 bananas, he ate a single coconut. Instead of saying hello to the fish, he went for a swim with them. And instead of collecting shells, he collected, well, everything else. When it got dark, the very small creature didn't eat dinner or brush his teeth or go to bed. He just sat on the beach and looked at the stars. Watching him, the very big creature's very big eye began to twitch. This wasn't how things were done on the island of Habit. There was supposed to be a schedule, a routine, an order to things. Otherwise, anything could happen. For the next week, the very big creature kept an eye on the very small creature. Some days, the very small creature made sand castles after breakfast. And some days, he stood on his head before dinner. Some days he slept in, and some days he stayed up late. Some days he did nothing at all. It was absolute madness. Then one morning, as the very big creature was eating his breakfast, this very, very small creature offered him an orange. The very big creature looked at it carefully. It was smaller than a pineapple and rounder than a banana, and it was something he'd never tried before. And it was pretty good, but not as good as the pineapple. Afterward, he noticed the very small creature saying hello to the clouds. The very big creature had said hello to a lot of things, the trees and the rocks and the crab who lived under the rocks, but never the clouds. He thought about giving it a try, but he didn't want to miss his appointment with the fish. Later, the very small creature found some treasures on the beach, and even though he was meant to be looking for shells, the very big creature was secretly happy when he found a treasure too. The day was almost done. It was time to eat dinner and brush their teeth and go to bed. But the very small creature had other plans. The very big creature watched him go, thinking about all the unusual things that had happened that day, the orange and the clouds and the treasures on the beach. The very big creature sat down. Then he stood up again, his very big heart beating very, very fast. Finally, he decided to follow the very small creature. The very big creature had never been out at this hour before. Everything looked different. The sky was full of color, and the sun, as round as an orange, was disappearing into the water. He knew this wasn't where he was supposed to be right now, but as the world turned from pink to orange to purple all around him, he wondered if maybe it actually was. Later, they would eat dinner and brush their teeth and go to bed. And tomorrow, there would be time to stick to the schedule if they wanted to. After all, anything could happen. But for now, the sky was beginning to perform yet another magic trick. Together, they sat and watched it change. Hello, stars! Hello, stars! Please rise in body and spirit to join in singing hymn number 318, We Would Be One. No, we're not doing that. like to tell you a little bit about our speaker today, Reverend Barbara Child. She retired from full-time Unitarian Universalist ministry in 2010. Since her retirement, she has produced, with Reverend Keith Crone, 2 editions of a collection of essays on transitional ministry called In the Interim. She also edited a collection of readings and rituals for times of change and transition that was published with the title, The Spirit That Moves. Her memoir, Memories of a Vietnam Veteran, focuses on her partner, Alan Morris, who was a leader of the Vietnam Veterans Against the War at Kent State University. She began her professional life teaching in the Kent State English Department, 1963 through 1978. She then turned to practicing poverty law. In 1981, she returned to academia, serving as Director of Writing and Research at Golden Gate University School of Law in San Francisco, and then Director of Legal Drafting at University of Florida College of Law. She became a minister in 1996. I want us to give a warm welcome to Reverend Barbara Child.
So there. What a treat it is for me to be here. I have to tell you that I posted on the minister's page on Facebook a couple of days ago to say that I was coming here. You can't believe the messages that kept coming back. Oh, I've preached there. I've preached there. That's a wonderful place, wonderful congregation. Woohoo! So yesterday, I thought, I drove up yesterday. I didn't want to run into the race crowd in Indianapolis. I'm coming from Bloomington. So I came up here yesterday, and I thought, well, I want to see that church. And so I drove over here. I was enthralled immediately at the sight of your church. It is so beautiful. And the welcome I have received already this morning is also wonderful. And I've been gathering bits and pieces of your history and the church's history as well. So I'm feeling mighty lucky this morning. I want to read you this story by Eudora Welty, whom you may know, author. It's called Growing Up Safe. Even as we grew up, my mother could not help imposing herself between her children and whatever it is they might take into their minds to reach out for in the world. For she would get it for them if it was good enough for them. She would have to be very sure and give it to them at whatever cost to herself. Valiance was in her very fiber. She stood always prepared in herself to challenge the world in our place. She did indeed tend to make the world look dangerous. And so it has been to her. A way had to be found around her love sometimes. With challenging that at the same time, cherishing it in its unassailable strength. Each of us children did, sooner or later, in part, or at least, solve this in a different way, respectful, complicated way. But I think she was relieved when I chose to become a writer of stories, for she thought that writing was safe. Ho, ho, ho. Not so. So when Reverend Tom Bozeman, you call him Pastor Tom, is that right? Yes, when Pastor Tom invited me to preach here, though I knew very little about your congregation other than that you were in transition. As you heard from Sandy, most of my ministerial career has been in interim ministry. I am drawn to congregations in transition when things are at least a little bit shaken up, not stuck. I understand that Pastor Tom's 3-year ministry here is about to conclude, and I understand that you are probably sad about that. I also understand that you are hopeful about another minister coming here. So it is naturally, I would think, a time of mixed feelings for you, both hopes and fears for your immediate congregational future. I'm inclined to say, don't forget to breathe. I keep thinking of the wise fool on the tarot card, if you know the tarot cards, contemplating going over the side of a cliff because there's a flower down there to be smelled, right? Just out of reach. There is excitement, there is scariness, as there is whenever we contemplate the unknown, the new, the different. And oh dear, the thought of having to do that in the very place where you want to come for haven, for comfort, your congregation. I've been thinking about what story from my life might speak to your present circumstances. So I've decided to tell you a story from my first year in ministry, nearly 3 decades ago. Some people don't believe me when I tell this story. They think I made it up so I could win some contest. You know, can you top this? No, it's true. And it turned out to be one of the most instructive experiences of my first year in ministry, for me and also for the Sepulveda Unitarian Universalist Society, the congregation I served that first year. Here is what happened. The Sepulveda UU Society at that time had a meeting room. It was round. They also called the place the Onion, which I wish they wouldn't, but they did. Anyway, this round space, meeting room, also served as an art gallery. And they had a gallery committee that would enter contracts with artists to show their work there. Now, the Sepulveda building, meeting hall, was close to the town of Northridge, California, home to a branch of California State University. And it came to pass in the spring of 1977 that Cal State Northridge, don't forget to breathe now, Cal State Northridge and a prostitutes' rights organization in Los Angeles named Coyote jointly sponsored a conference on prostitution with some 400 scholars and prostitutes and their supporters from around the world. Ooh, yes. Ooh, thank you. Ooh. And you know what's coming, right? One of the elements of the conference was an art exhibit entitled Curious Images: The Sex Worker as Subject and Artist, Poet and Politician. Well, it came to pass that the Sepulveda Congregation's Gallery Committee arranged with Coyote to have the exhibit in their meeting room. I should mention this arrangement was made while I was out of town. I found out about it when I got back. And before I even went to the church, I got a call from a newspaper, a reporter who was incredulous that a church would do such a thing. She also didn't know anything about Unitarian Universalism, so I had a marvelous opportunity to tell her, and I did. I read a poster about how to be an artist. It said, make friends with freedom and uncertainty. That same day, I was rereading the poet Rilke. Hear his words. If we think of our existence as a larger or a smaller room, it appears evident that most people learn to know only a corner of their room, a place by the window, a strip of floor on which they walk up and down. So I went over to see the exhibit when nobody else was there. I walked up and down. I took my time. I looked at the exhibit. I read the text pieces underneath. The exhibit asked us to know a larger part of our room. It was disturbing. Some of it was very disturbing to me. It called upon us to ask, what is it in ourselves that we do not want to see? Is it the sex that we have bought or sold with one kind of currency or another? Is it the injustices to women that we have winked at? Is it the exploitation of third world women by American military men? Is it the awful, awful possibility that women might enjoy their own bodies? Ironically, before I knew about the coyote exhibit, I had given myself a title for a sermon for that Sunday. I didn't know yet what I was going to say, but the title is the one that I imported for here this morning. Safe Harbor or Challenging Cliff? What's a congregation for? I have been wrestling with that question for a long time. I asked it as I hiked in the mountains above the San Fernando Valley, where the church was. Whenever I passed a sign warning of mountain lions. I asked it years later when I was serving our church in Tampa, Florida, every year when hurricane season came around, reminding me that even harbors are not always safe. I kept on asking it when I was serving in Cincinnati and had to take off in a snowstorm to get to church. It seems to me it's a good question for us to ask ourselves as individuals and also as congregations. That spring, when Coyote came to Sepulveda, I learned that Coyote, the letters of it, is an acronym. It stands for Call Off Your Old Tired Ethics. Bingo. Now there is a wake-up call. I had to ask myself whether my reservations about the exhibit signaled that I was suffering from old, tired ethics. Had this radical civil libertarian grown conservative in her later years? I hope I will never stop asking myself that question, questions like that. I hope I will never settle for whatever answer springs first to my lips. That spring's wake-up call led me to do a double take every time I passed the sign over the door to the Sepulveda meeting room, which said, "Risk-taking allowed here." I loved that sign. It had caught my eye the first day I ever went there, the day I went to interview to be a candidate for their interim ministry position. It was probably one of the reasons I said yes when they asked me to come. The week with Coyote enabled me to see that the key word in that sign is allowed. It carries more than one promise. it says, you will be free here to take risks. That's one promise. The other one is, you will not be forced to take them. Safe harbor or challenging cliff. What's a congregation for? I believe the answer is both. I believe we are called to provide the safe space that enables us to take on a challenging cliff when it appears. And I believe the congregation should relish from time to time the opportunity to decide as a collective body to take on a challenging cliff. And when it does, that should be honored mightily. I also believe that a congregation is honor-bound not to force its members to take on the risks of a cliff that is too steep. Such force is inimical to a supportive atmosphere that we need in which to choose for ourselves to take a risk. Thus, I believe that it was right for Coyote exhibit to come to the Sepulveda meeting room. But I disagreed with the gallery committees imposing that exhibit on the entire congregation during Sunday service. I asked that it be removed for the service. Both the committee and the board declined, which is how I came to preach with whips and chains behind me. Finally, I learned that by deciding to leave the exhibit up on Sunday morning, the gallery committee and the board provided that spiritual community with an incredibly rich opportunity to visit questions that are easy not to visit. We human beings live constantly with the temptation to avoid suffering. I remember a school principal's comment about a teacher who said she had 20 years experience. The principal said, no, what she had was 1 year's experience 20 times. It's tempting to do that, to walk up and down that one little strip of floor that Rilke mentions. And I must say that I think we Unitarian Universalists are susceptible to a particularly insidious form of that temptation. It comes out of our very honorable heritage of skepticism. We are sometimes quick to say what we do not believe. I heard of a child who was asked by a friend, "What do you do to celebrate April Fool's Day?" The child said, having been taught well by parents, Oh, we don't believe in April Fool's Day. We're Unitarian. Heaven help us. Not to say, of course, that we are only skeptics. Skepticism has become a popular parlor sport. This ability to hedge, this refusal to commit. Oh, he has some good ideas, we say, about an author someone else has just complimented, but he doesn't have all the evidence. Or we say, oh yes, well that's an interesting theory, but it has its shortcomings. Now, of course, I know that critical thinking is a wonderful thing. It is useful when we have decisions to make about which there are alternatives. It's not so useful if it turns into a shield that keeps us from having to make any choice at all. Maybe we all need the likes of Coyote to show up once in a while to say to us, excuse me, but there is more to this world than your little strip of floor. A totally surprising presence of a reality totally outside our field of vision is a powerful gift. But because Coyote isn't available to show up every day, we need ourselves to silence that tempting voice of the familiar. What a discipline it is. If we don't take it on, we walk that familiar strip of floor. We have the same year's experience 20 times. We can sure enough do that. Or we can take on the risks that life offers us. We can leave home, we can let go, we can leave the batterer, we can try out the world sober, we can decline to take the morphine every 5 minutes. We can submit our application, we can take a new job, we can take on the joint venture, we can say yes to the proposal, we can make an offer to a new minister. We can make a commitment to somebody or something. I would rewrite Sepulveda's sign a little. What I like to think of for that congregation then and this one now is that risk-taking is encouraged here, not just allowed, but not forced either. And if that is to be so, we dare not let our skepticism keep us from being able to say yes. We know if we love someone, one day that person may die or leave. We know that if we trust people, sometimes we will get hurt. If we depend on people, some of them will let us down. So we can do without loving, trusting, depending, and condemn ourselves to a life without zest, essentially death in life. Or we can risk. We can have enough faith in the possibility of truth and good and beauty in this world and its people, at least sometimes, to say yes. We Unitarian Universalists do not have a creed but I believe we have some common callings. And I believe one of them is to take the risks required to find or make meaning in our lives. As a congregation, you are now entering a new period of transition. I want to close with a little of what John Weston used to say when he was our UUA director of ministerial settlement. He said, "The purpose of the church is the spiritual growth of the congregation, and the purpose of ministry is to provoke as well as nurture the spiritual growth of the congregation." And then John upped the ante. He added, "Without trial and risk, an inadequate response and recognition of the inadequacy and the new learning that comes from that recognition, we will go round and round. Better to hop a bus." As soon as our attachment to and defense of where we have arrived stifles our commitment to where we might yet go, if only we would risk once more. Better hop a bus. So it's getting time for your congregation to risk once more. It's scary as all get out, but I am ready to assume, to guess, to be pretty darn sure that you are ready without the assistance of whips and chains. So, now what? I have to come back to this. It's time for the offering. Somebody's going to do the offering.
Let's see, sorry. We choose to welcome the Spirit of Life to join in our aliveness and share our resources. This month we are sharing our Loose Change for Social Change with Farm Her to Mama, which is, it supports a growing community. We will be supporting, I think I have this on. Am I on? Oh, sorry. Supports a growing community of female farmers, nurses, and nutritionists, and first-time mamas for food security. The money in the baskets goes to sustaining the mission of our congregation, and the money in the cups goes to Farm Her for Mama.
So this is the last week for Farm Her to Mama.
Thank you. For those with us in person today, there is, not in person with us today, there is an online link for both one-time and regular donations, and we have our 4 volunteers. So go forth. Ooh, that was wonderful. Thank you. For your prayers, your presence, your service, and your gifts, we are truly grateful. Thank you. And now we have some announcements, and I think they will be also up on the screen here. This coming Saturday, May 31st, the On Tyranny Study and Action Group is hosting an empty chair town hall at our church. The doors will open at 12 o'clock and the town hall will start at 12:30 and end at 2 p.m. We have presented our two senators, Todd Young and Jim Banks, who have declined our invitation to appear, with questions that reflect the values of Unitarian Universalism and the Constitution, and we will use this forum to assess their responses. Then we have our next Sunday, following the regular service, is our annual congregational meeting. We will be meeting here in the sanctuary to vote on the annual budget and elect 3 new board members, as well as receive reports from the various ministries. All are welcome to attend the meeting, and as voting members, your presence is very crucial to the operation of this church, so please come. And finally, on the following Sunday, June 8th, we are not going to be having our regular service here in the sanctuary at 11. Instead, in recognition of Pride Fest, we will be participating in an interfaith service that will take place at Riverview Park in Lake Station, which is just down the road. The service will begin at 10 a.m., and there is an ask of $10 per person attending as a donation to Pride Fest. We will also be holding a live stream of the service here in our church at 10 o'clock. As Pastor Tom noted in his request to the board, this service offers 3 opportunities for our congregation. 1, to publicize the values of our congregation to the general public. 2, to fortify our relationships with allied congregations. And finally, to send a message of support to the LGBTQIA community during an incredibly challenging time. So thank you. And then we have one more announcement? Live announcement from Pete. Thank you. Oh, do you need a?
No.
Okay.
Good morning. As we celebrate Memorial Day tomorrow and celebrate all those who sacrificed, all those men and women who sacrificed fighting for freedom, I think it's appropriate to remember also that not everyone who wears a uniform is a freedom fighter, and not everyone that opposes someone in a uniform is a freedom fighter. 5 years ago today, George Floyd was murdered in a very public way. And so my ask is that when you celebrate tomorrow, that you think of everyone, including the millions of people who marched in his honor, as freedom fighters too.
Thank you, Pete. And now if you will please rise and body your spirit in the singing of hymn number 128 in the Gray Hymnal, For All That Is Our Life. Our closing words by Reverend Bruce T. Marshall, who's a Unitarian Universalist. May we go from this time together changed by having May we go from this time together changed by our having been here, perhaps better able to face the challenges of the week ahead, perhaps reassured by the strength of this community and the support it gives, perhaps reminded of the affirmation of our faith and the guidance it offers. May we go from this time changed, if even just a little bit, so that we may approach our days with confidence and hope. That's beautiful. I invite you now to join me in reciting the words on the screen to accompany the extinguishing of our chalice. May we continue to carry in our hearts the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment until we are together again. Please join us in the parish hall.